And okay, but overall, okay, there is still a lot of homework to do, like gas allocation, flare gas utilization, development of mini refineries, and in terms of gas allocation, there is still, you know, a lot of homework in terms of shifting paradigm and managing natural gas in Indonesia to promote domestic utilization, and also LNG, CNG production facilities, additional FSRU units, infrastructure and logistic chain for distribution, technology and expertise for industrial use of natural gas in smelters, conversion of vehicle to run on natural gas. So there are still a lot of discussion to be made in terms of gas allocation, because we know that we are in the energy transition area from fossil fuel to the renewable energy, and it has to be, you know, transition through gas. And we know for sure that Indonesia has more energy in terms of gas compared to oil now. So it means that the gas allocation is very important here, especially for the region, because most of the time the region that need the, especially for the power supply, the gas is needed all the time over there, and not to mention about the industry that to be built in all over the region. Next. And also, next. Okay, the flare gas. Is anybody know about the flare gas? Is the gas that it looks like, oops. It looks like Pak Diki, you have your bandwidth there is low, so that sometimes it's just hanging there. No? Okay.
Oh, I thought, okay.
The flare gas potential also in several places in Indonesia, and anybody not aware about the flare gas is the gas that has been produced, a side product, which is a kind of waste of the product of oil, and rather than wasting it and you know, polluting the air, using it for the commercial things is very important. And until now, this flare gas potential is not really you know, utilized in terms of the regional need over there, but the government tried to take as much as possible and to put it in a perspective of economy, rather than you know, rather than just you know, environmental issues. So if it is not economic to sell it, it's rather than, you know, just flare it to pollute the air. It's something like that paradigm, but although it is not intended to do so. So we still need to talk about this between the you know, the central government and all the regions that producing this flare gas potential. Next. And also the main refineries until today. Next. Oh, it's very slow. Okay, I think I've become frustrated with all of this technology now. But overall, overall, I think I already spent 20 minutes now. I give it back to Pak Diki. The other slides can be reserved for discussion if necessary. But I think that's all that I can present about the opportunities and mostly challenges need by us in terms of region there. Okay.
Thank you, Pak Andang, for your presentation. Okay, we please first the second invited speaker. After that, we will open the question and answer. So, Bu Aridina, you will share your presentation by answer the presentation.
Then, okay, I will share my presentation.
Yes.
done successfully.
Okay, time is yours.
Okay. Good day, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Aridina Susan Silitonga from Medan, Polytechnic Negeri Medan. I would like to present my research. The title is The Effect of Ultrasound Duty Cycle in Biodiesel Production from Ceiba Petandra. Actually, my research is about to explore new non-edible. So I'm focused to non-edible oil because the global energies for transportation is highly dependent on petroleum product expected to increase in the future. Therefore, biodiesel is one solution for replace or substitute fossil fuel to non-edible oil convert to biodiesel, and diesel and biodiesel will be mixed, and this is lead to need to explore of non-edible oil as feedstock for biodiesel. In this study or this research, I explored one of biomass. Its name Ceiba Petandra. The scientific name in Indonesia is kapuk. And I have been 4 years ago to Nusa Tenggara Barat, and then I found many a lot of Ceiba Petandra there. Is because it's a white plant. So this is my idea to extract the seed or kernel to the oil, and using many method in my study and also my research. I using for conventional. I using conventional. I using infrared. I using ultrasound. I think in my presentation I'm using ultrasound. You can see in the figure 1 is the schematic diagram of experiment to convert Ceiba Petandra oil to biodiesel. Okay, actually the equipment is working is using the wave and wave or amplitude. The positive is amplitude propagate and circle the screen when the negative amplitude, and then simultaneous change in the pressure with the high frequency of the ultrasonic wave are reacted slowly by the liquid, and the creation of micro bubble. So micro bubble is created from the reaction, and then will be converted to methyl ester. So the purpose of the using this method is convert crude oil to the methyl ester, and then after we get the methyl ester, we need to measure the properties. Is it specified with the STM or EN standard? And you can see in my PPT also, I'm using two process.
We cannot see your presentation at all. There is no presentation.
I can share my screen on
Yes,
the
you can.
Okay.
Directly,
because before, no,
Aridina, you can share the. I also can.
I cannot share my.
I think okay, I will.
Presentation.
Yes, sure.
I cannot share my. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I will repeat because in the previous also cannot share the PPT. So here I will repeat again. This is a experimental about non-edible oil from Ceiba Petandra, and to convert the oil into biodiesel using the ultrasound. Next. And why in my research focus to biodiesel? All of you can see the global energy use for transition is highly depend on the petroleum product. And in biodiesel is solution to oil shortage, global warming, and air pollution from transportation sector. There is also this lead to need to explore of non-edible oil as feedstock for biodiesel. We know in Indonesia now implementation biodiesel from palm oil is a edible oil. Now in my research is I'm focused to explore from non-edible oil. One of them is Ceiba Petandra. Next. Yeah, you can see here, Ceiba Petandra is a scientific name. In Indonesian name is a kapuk. 4 years ago, I have been Nusa Tenggara Barat. I found a lot of kapuk. Yeah, Ceiba Petandra is a white plant, and you can see here also is contained. The seed contains 22% of oil, so it's a middle. And we compared to the palm oils is about 49. Okay. And then we can see also the produce about 1 to 8 kg of oil per hectare annually. Next. Yeah, I'm using ultrasound. Before, all my research is production. I'm trying to using few methods from the conventional ultrasound bed is different with now is ultrasound probe, and I'm using also infrared. So here I would like to present is about ultrasound using probe. The work of the equipment is using on-off of the wave is also there are positive amplitude and negative amplitude. Here simultaneous change in pressure with the high frequency of ultrasonic wave are reacted slowly by the liquid. So the reaction will be create the micro bubble. This is also called the cavitation phenomenon. Why cavitation phenomenon? Because the temperature and the pressure is increased. So by temperature pressure increase by releasing the vapor content in the bubble, and will help to invert the transfer of mass and head into the liquid. So after the reaction create the bubble, then pressure and temperature increase, they will convert to methyl ester. Why are using the ultrasound method? Because next. Okay, here we're talking about the energy consumption. We convert oil to biodiesel. We need to calculate the energy consumption. Rather, we use a conventional infrared water bed. So need to calculate the energy consumption to get the efficient method. So you can see also how the calculate the duty cycle. In the probe ultrasound using probe, we call it. We need to calculate the duty cycle, because with the duty cycle, for example, the work of the equipment is 7 seconds on, and then after that 3 seconds off. So need to calculate. Then we can get the the different biodiesel yet or methyl ester yet, and how much the energy consumed. Next. Okay, here the the esterification and transfication. As we know, for biodiesel production, also using the esterification and transfication process. Why esterification process? Because the oil is obtain the high free fatty acid, so need to pre-treatment by the using esterification or using naturalization. If the low acid, we can directly go to transfication. For example, is a biodiesel from palm oil, or biosolar we're using now is from palm oil. It's a very simple process. Just go to transfication and you can get high methyl ester. But the problem, how much the energy consumption using that method. If you're using conventional method, is a lot energy consumed than the ultrasound probe. Next. Okay. Actually, to get the high efficient or to obtain the conversion methyl ester yield, we need to try or to take the variable. Here I tried, I think four effect. The first is reaction time. Then I need to make a variable timetable variable is a 30, 40, 50, or 60 minutes. And then using the DOE, design or experiment, they will generate the parameter, and then I make the experiment and then get the methyl ester. To get the efficiency method, we need to optimize the parameter. Next. Okay, there are three parameters I optimize. One is methanol to oil ratio before, and then now is a KOH and the time before previously, and the last is a duty cycle. So the difference of the ultrasound probe is working is about the duty cycle. Here different the 7 second on and then the 3 second off, and then we try the another duty is a 3 second on and a 5 second off. So from here, next. Yeah, you can see the table. Yeah, variations, duty cycle, and the corresponding consume and save. Okay. Here we can see the higher methyl ester is number 6 is about 90.24%, and the save energy is small. But in number 1, the save energy is very high, but the methyl ester yield conversion yield is 93.52. So now we need to focus the energy consumed of the methyl ester yield conversion. Which one we need to take the priority? The energy consumption when you're using production, or the last product, the yield. Next. Okay. After the methodology, then we need to measure the physical and chemical properties. We need to make sure the physical chemical properties must satisfy with the STM and STM D6751 or EN standard 14214. Also, we have in Indonesia also have the SNI 2015. But in my research, I refer to STM and EN, because if we get the STM and EN standard, it's meaning SNLC also include. Next. Okay, here the conclusion is the effect of dirty condition for CMV was studied, and then I think I said before in the table, CPME is meaning Seba Petandra methyl ester. It was 1924 for 75% duty cycle. I said before 6 seconds on and 2 seconds off. This is working of the ultrasound probe, and then conserving 33.33% energy, and also 50% energy is obtained using sonication pulse. In ultrasound, we have duty cycle, we have also sonication pulse. Here, there are 4 seconds on, 2 seconds off, and then giving a CPM yield is 97.22%. And all the CPM in this study is conform to STM and EN standard. Thank you. Back to Pak Diki.
Okay, very interesting the topic from Pak Andang and Bu Aridina about the energy and the local energy. Okay, if you have any question, you can raise your hand to direct question to the center, and if you don't raise your hand, you can write your question in chat room. Okay, we have 10 minutes for the question and answer in this session. Please.
I think I have questions for.
Oh, okay. Sure, you can also give a question.
For Pak Andang.
Yep.
Yes. I read your your slide is page 15. I still don't understand. Minimize the use of oil is not happening. It's meaning not happening. Page number 15. And then here also you said coal as mainstay of the national energy supply is okay. It's meaning we need to use coal until because we have many coal here, or this is a PT7, yeah, PT79 2014 priority for national energy development in the last 6 years. Can you explain, Pak Andang?
Okay, so basically that is the evaluation that I made on behalf of at the time of the, you know, at the Secretary General of this region of Association of Oil and Gas there, and also as the retired National Energy Council member that keep on monitoring the government implementation of the regulation that they have made. So we got the National Energy Policy in 2014, and also energy mix that on and on we put it in there that wait a minute, I have to get my presentation on in English. Okay, this is, yep. So you're talking about the, yes. First of all, we need also to to understand this Government Regulation 79/2014, which is a national energy policy. Everybody understand about that, that there are 5 priorities put in writing over there. Maximize the utilization of renewable energy, minimize the use of oil, optimize use of natural gas, coal as mainstay of national energy supply, a kind of a buffer, and nuclear energy as the last option. My monitoring during the last 6 years, especially if you're talking about this minimize the use of oil, this is not happening. We still have oil still become playing the important role in terms of energy in Indonesia, although within the last 8 months or 9 months during the pandemic, there are less and less transportation going on, but most of the transportation in Indonesia, especially in the big cities, they're still using the fossil fuel over there. So the term of minimizing the use of oil, the regulation is there, but the implementation of the regulation most of the time is not happening. It's not happening. And also, if you're talking about the coal as a mainstay of national energy supply, this is even not really the mainstay, not really the buffer, but it's now become more toward the source of national revenue. So in national energy policy and also national energy plan, there is mentioning that the coal production have to be kept below 400 million ton a year. But since the last 3 years, because government need revenue more and more from this energy resources, they increase it up to now 560 million, which is not in line with this the plan of lowering the CO2 emission and things like that. So that is the realization in the last 6 years that I can observe. So I hope I can answer you.
Bu Arina, the explanation to Pak Andang.
Yeah, because now is emission from the coal using coal as energy is very big. Emission is really not good in the influence our weather.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the real thing in Indonesia now. So our regulators, our politician has only a short view, myopic view of how energy should be implemented. All of them are already written in a regulation, but in terms of application, implementation, usually in the level of ministerial decree or ministerial regulation, they are all like the regulation should be, the upper regulation should be like this, the lower regulation, ministerial regulation, like that, because it's all going to be a very short-sighted. Government need more money, so they need more coal to be produced, and then they just don't care about this is violating the upper level of regulation.
Yes,
we keep on have to, as a scientist, we have to keep on reminding the politician, the government to keep on doing what they wrote already. So this is the problem. But the problem of omnibus law also, the writing itself is changed for 5 or 6 times, and then I don't know about the implementation. Who gonna be implementing that? It's gonna be a big problem. Not to mention that.
Yeah. Thank you, Pak Andang.
Yeah. Yeah, we have many challenges in energy and implementation. The local actually, but Pandang, if you can still in this room, we will place to the another presentation in this room.
Okay.
present the article. So I will place okay, you can check the schedule, I think, who has be ready to present the article. Please share your yeah. Okay, I hope all participant can open the camera and let's join with us to discussion or to okay, because this is the conference, right? Hello, the participants.
Yes, I think the participants should be on the camera because now you are in the conference, even webinar. I think it's the ethic.
Yes.
The more you have everybody in camera and the more you have everybody, the less bandwidth that we're gonna,
Yeah.
Be confident. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
are learn here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. If you have any question, please raise your hand and you can directly ask to the presenter. And if you don't want to raise your hand, please chat your question in the chat room and I will read the question. And okay, I want to ask to the Mutiara, it's how many presenter in this room? Or Pak Rizky, how many presenter in this room?
30, sir.
30, okay. You can share the schedule. Who is the presenter will present the articles? Pak Iqbal, you're ready to present your presentation from Pekanbaru? No, you just a participant, right? Not the presenter.
Yes, I'm just participant here. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, I think in this room only Pak Andang and Bu Aridina to speak. Okay, if you have any question, Bu Ayu Kartika Manik. No one presenter except Pak Andang and Bu Aridina in this room, I think. Okay, Bu Aridina, can you, because my background is biology, right? In North Sumatra, when we can find the Ceiba plantation in North Sumatra, and possibility to make the plantation like the palm oil?
For the Saber Petan rice couple, we can you can find anywhere. I mean, in my town in
Yes.
Siantar, you know Siantar, Siantar, because even near to my home, I mean, surrounding my kampung village is I think we can find the Saber Petandra, but last year some investor because my research is kalau film is nyamplung, also Saber Petandra. Investor try to collaborate with me, and we plan to make the plantation. I mean the tree in the Aceh cannot because North Sumatra is I mean priority is palm oil, so they will try to move to Aceh, but the problem is they want only the raw material, not the biosolar in biodiesel, not the methyl ester. So I'm not agree. If we still export the raw material to other country and then convert the oil to the methyl ester and biodiesel, and then later we import. Actually, we can find in the many places here because this is the wild tree, wet plant, and any can we find. But in the plantation, I mean in big plantation, no, not available in North Sumatra. Is available in the Nusa Tenggara Timur or Nusa Tenggara Barat, West and East Nusa Tenggara. In a big plantation.
Yeah, because for the sustainable this industry, I think the plantation is very important, right? I remember when I get my master degree in ITB. Maybe you ever heard Dr. Now it's Professor Robert Manurung. They try to make the biosolar from jarak, but it's discontinued the project because there is no one investor want to invest in the jarak plantation, because that's the problem. Why you what about the limitation of the Seba if you compare with the palm oil?
If we're talking about now, of course, the palm oil is still high. I mean, still priority in Indonesia because government and also private supporting this plantation. But in the research, we need to explore. I think in 89 diesel, right, Rudolph diesel, the man tried the crude oil from nut and using in diesel, and now we can see the palm oil also implemented and for the biosolar or biodiesel. So in research is for the future, but government and private should be supporting this issue. I mean this program. If only social or personal or only the only the education will not happen to industry as well as like palm oil. So it's meaning if in the research explore many raw many raw material and can convert to biodiesel. And the tree is a wild plant or wild tree, and so no, it's like Jara. Jara is or Jatropha. Actually, is a good change, but the problem is our administration. Our rules is like Pak Andam say, is the implemented. The rule is very good. The rule very nice, but the government is not support. This is the problem. So I mean, if anyone asks, there is change, yes, but not only it's like me, the researcher cannot to be communicate or collaborate, and from the rule uh, go from the government to be support. I think if you ask jarak or palm or kalopilum is nyamplung, as long can available in Indonesia, yes, it have chance to convert to biodiesel, because the palm oil is a food issue. Palm oil also we consume, but not on edible. Non-edible is not. I mean, we can maintain the price because not there's not issue to the food. We not. We not eat the non-edible oil. Therefore, I explore non-edible oil as the alternative oil compared to the edible oil.
Yes. Pak Andang, is any suggestion for us, the researcher from the university, about the alternative energy? Because my background is not geologist like you, but I'm a biologist.
Okay.
Okay, and my colleague in Batan, he has have the bacterial that can what we call she tried to make the liquid coal use the bacteria, and she had, but the problem is so Aridina said the government and also like the what we call the pengusaha batubara don't want to we develop this invention. Like we had I know, because that's the dissertation of him. The bacteria, it's very effective to change the coal to the liquid coal. So you have any suggestion about, because we cannot do.
If you're talking about the fossil fuel and renewable, there's an ending dispute about the, or we can say the conspiration of the fossil fuel the renewables ones, because usually we're talking about this, and the government itself. So if like my suggestion that it's jumped into the conclusion.
Yes,
suggestion to all the university researchers: just do what is attract you all most in terms of the research. It's the basic thing. If you're not attracted to the research in terms of your passion in there, you're not gonna do that. But forget about all the political things, because sooner or later the government will change. More reasonable people, more greener people will be in place. More younger people will be there. The change is a must. Is the law is the change. So I think my message to all the researchers in the university is just do whatever you are interested to do. let's forget about the politics, about the things like that, but keep on shouting, keep on, keep on writing, and keep on speak up. If not, you just gonna be, left by all of these politicians. So that's why I used to be the lecturing in the master degree of in University of Indonesia and geophysical study there, and also in Medan in ITM, Institute Teknologi Medan, for geology for maybe 7 or 8 years before I came to Paris here. And I told to my students that keep on having a passion on research, in whatever research in there. Just forget about politics in terms of, it will hamper you down and then lower your emotion down. But the politics is different things, but we have to keep on shouting. We have to keep on, speak up about all of these things. So like you say, if you have, coal going into liquid, now maybe it's not really economic, but later on it will be useful. So many people in university said that, oh, if we just research for science purpose, it will be no future on that. No. I think science for science is going to be making, a lot of big things in the future, if future will come with the, more, advanced things. Only in this place in Indonesia, we haven't reached that, educational level of, politician in Senayan and also in they need to be keep on educated. Although there are a lot of degree people over there, but the quality is it's very, very pity. But my message is keep on research, guys.
Okay.
Keep on doing research, no problem.
Waridina, you agree with the Pandang said?
Yeah, I agree with Panda. Keep on his research, wherever the result.
Yeah. So, please the participant, if you have any question for us, and
yeah, I got a question from Iqbal Muharam, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What should we do as a student or youth activist to encourage the government or regulator to realize better energy policy? That I will be stamped or stigmatized as a provocateur here. But I think you guys need to do in terms of previously I talked about the researchers like Aridina and also Diki and others, but this is for young activists, students. Yeah, like I said, I told my students in Institute Teknologi Medan, keep on studying, keep on being critical. So if you see, guys, you guys, the young people and student, is the position that you have is very luxurious position, because you are still studying. You're not, most of you, but not all of you. Most of you is not hampered by or tied by families, children, or position in works and things like that. But you have to keep on doing the control for the government. Yeah, of course, demonstration is the right to do, but anarchy is different thing. So shouting that, there are many politicians also said, or government people said, hey, students or students, you don't understand what you are protesting. You have to read this and that. Let's do that. Read this and that. But of course, you cannot read all of them. But as long as you have, but don't just listen to me, but listen to other experts. We have a lot of professors in universities. Keep on asking them. That's why they're there, to teach you, to give you the enlightenment about all the science, about the regulation and things. And of course, the professors have a tight hand over there, although some of them can speak up. But you guys, the student, the young activists, is our forefront, is our spearhead to tell the truth to everybody, to the community, not only to government, but to community. All the community, if they just keep on myopic in terms of using the very wasted energy, very inefficient energy, let's start it to campaign that. So a lot of energy inefficiency happening in our communities. So just start it from ourselves, start it from the organization, and keep on being criticized. That's my message to all of you.
Bu Aridina, you have any comment of this question to your students?
Okay. My advice, yeah, just study, learn, and do the research. I'm not talking about the politics because I'm concerned to education. When the human sumber daya manusia means
Human
we
resources.
have a good SDM, and then we can do. I mean, we can challenge the other country, and we increase our ranking. Especially Universitas Sumatera Utara is the good university. I mean, I think number 5 or number 3. I forgot in Indonesia. So it's meaning to improve the quality of the student. I think it's only.
Okay, Pak Andang, I think it's the time to you to give the closing statement in this session.
I've already made my closing statement, a lot of messages, but
Yes.
yes, in terms of yeah, let me start. This is recorded, right? So
Yes.
closing statement, I will say that there is abundance of resources in Indonesia, of energy, especially not only fossil fuel. Not only fossil energy, but also renewable energy. I didn't talk a lot about renewable, but I am doing the fossil fuel. The fossil energy exploration, even in this, abroad here in France. But I am the proponent of the clean energy as well. So between that, we have a transition of energy. A global environment situation right now, everybody moving into that transition, moving into renewable. Even the big company, the 7 sister, or now become 5 sister company, Exxon, like BP, like Shell, and others, they are all moving into the same direction, which is renewable. Although until 2050, there is still some portion of fossil energy will be used, but more and more toward gas and then renewable. So the transition is going to be gas, and then the rest is going to be the renewable. That's one thing. So please let go into this transition. All the fossil energy activists or fossil energy industry player, please go into this transition with gas. The second thing is Indonesia has more gas than oil. So my message for government as a closing remarks is, please do this transition energy policy revision. Concentrate more toward gas and, of course, the renewable, rather than oil, rather than coal, of course. That's the second thing. So we need to revise the national energy policy in terms of energy mix, like in my presentation, to be more toward the cleaner, greener energy or bluer energy. Gas can be seen as a bluer energy, although it's fossil fuel, but from blue, we can easily go to green rather than red and then going to green. Red is, I told red as a fossil fuel, fossil energy. So that's my closing remarks. Let's go into the transition. Let's go into the renewable energy through the transition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Andang. And your time, Bu Aridina, to give the closing statement.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Diki. My closing statement is all of the students keep to the research, and whatever the result, and then try to collaborate with other university, with other researcher, with other student, and then try to improve ourselves and to get the international standard. I mean, the result should be compared with other country, and then we can challenge ourselves, and then we can trigger also ourselves, and especially if we're focus in the research, it will be now we famous with web of the science for the ranking, because actually education is business. So if our university is good, and then people from other country will also can see our country human resource is a good quality. So I think this is can motivate ourselves, our student, still to study. I think this is my first statement.
Okay. Thank you, Bu Aridina. Okay, I will give the closing statement in this session also with the energy. But we have to remember we live on one earth, the same earth when Adam here, and I don't know till now. So be wise to use energy. Thank you, Pak Andang, for your time, and Bu Aridina. I hope everybody get health, because what about the COVID in Paris, Pak Andang?
COVID is increasing, and Paris is now under what we call as a jam malam, so night curfew. So everybody has to be at home at 9 until 6 in the morning. So if you got spotted in the street, after 9 p.m., you will be arrested, and then it's going to be fined, maybe about 300, 400 euros. So it's something like that, except that you have, emergency there. But the incidence of infection is increasing, but the rate of the death is decreasing. So,
okay.
But it looks like if you test somebody, it looks like a lot of positive there, but they without any symptoms, without any symptoms. So
Okay,
hopefully in Indonesia it'll be better.
Yeah, I think now the immunity has come.
Yes.
So please give the applause to Pak Andang and Bu Aridina. I give back to the co-host to take the picture, please. So open your camera, and we will take the picture. Or Mutiara will take the picture. Rizky, can you give the...
And also here there are a lot of
Mutiara?
rumor about vaccine. So vaccine, really, everybody's really afraid of vaccine right now.
Rizky?
Because
Yes, sir.
Rizky, you take the picture.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Kasih abang Rizky.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Got it.
Oke, Pak Ridho Arishadi, here?
Yeah, Pak Diki, I'm here.
Okay. 10 minutes for you to present your presentation, and question and answer we will put the end of the all presentation, right? Okay, we have Rido Aris Adi, right? Where do you come
Yeah.
from?
I'm from Bandung Institute of Technology.
Oh, okay. And what about Bu Nopita Putri Rudiani? Been here?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Get your and Buan, what we call Buanerges, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last Bu Pitriani.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, let's start with Pak Rido Arisadi. You have 10 minutes to present your presentation. And okay, time is yours. Please share your presentation in your screen.
And my presentation already shown, Pak Diki?
Yes, already.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Diki. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name Rido Arishadi from School of Electrical Engineering and Informatics, Bandung Institute of Technology. On this opportunity, I would like to present my paper with title Progressive Alternative of Energy Planning for West Sumatra Province. Without further ado, I will start. As introduction, as we know, the electricity is one of the most widely used form of energy, and electricity generation blamed for one of the leading cause of global warming. But renewable energy power plant is proven to contradict that claim because renewable energy resources did not produce greenhouse gas emission while operating. Shifting to renewable energy is one of our efforts to stop the global warming. The government of Indonesia already ratified the Paris Agreement and promised to cut its emission by 29% from the baseline before 2030. Indonesia plans to deploy renewable energy not only on national level basis, but also on local level basis. The provincial government have to develop their regional energy planning, or we call RUET, based on the national energy planning, or we call RUEN. West Sumatra province is one of the few provinces that already released their regional energy planning. That regional energy planning already accommodate the strategy to deploy more renewable energy technology and the electricity generation. However, with a large number of renewable energy resources, West Sumatra province can fully rely on renewable energy for the electricity supply. In this paper, a progressive alternative scenario of West Sumatra province electricity planning is examined to adopt more renewable energy. The alternative scenario based on the West Sumatra energy potential and the economical viability. Energy security is an essential issue for every rural in a country. The foundation of energy security can be described as availability to meet the demand, affordability. To ensure the energy security for the people, the government developed a plan that contains a baseline condition, projected energy consumption, and energy supply in the specific year. This plan helped the policymaker and another stakeholder to plan the next step of supplying energy for the people. In Indonesia, the energy planning divided into the national level, or we call RUEN, and provincial level, or we call RUET. In the RUET, provincial government elaborate and the plan for implementing the RUEN and in a cross-sectoral to achieve the target from the RUEN. In RUEN and the RUET, Indonesia government and local government are already considering the renewable energy resources as essential supply, and particularly for electricity needs. On electricity, from renewable energy is not an impossibility because Costa Rica already proved it. In 2016, Costa Rica ran its electricity 100% from renewable energy resources for 76 straight days. Many countries and regions already pledged to achieve 100% renewable energy in their area, such as Denmark with 100% renewable energy by 2050, and the California state of the USA with 100% clean electricity by 2045. For you who did not familiar with West Sumatra, the province is located in the center of Sumatra Island on the west side. This province is blessed by tremendous resources. They have 4 big lakes, volcano mountains, and dozens of big rivers. West Sumatra province government already ratified its regional energy planning into local government regulation number 11, 2019. To calculate the supply and demand side of the energy, the RWET arranged with some assumption and model. The RWET used long-range energy alternative planning software or LEAP software in modeling and calculation. Some several assumptions used, namely annual population growth 1.2% in 2015 and 0.7% in 2050, and annual economic growth 5.5% in 2015 and 6% in 2050. The economic condition, population, and energy condition in 2015 used as the baseline for the modeling and calculation. From the calculation and simulation, the primary energy mix shown in this table. We can see that renewable energy in 2050 play a big role in the energy mix. Energy consumption mix dominated by the transportation and industrial sector, while the percentage of household consumption will decline every year due to the energy efficiency program from government. Detail of energy consumption mix shown in this table in ton oil equivalent unit. On electricity, the RUET, the annual electricity consumption per capita rise from 573 kilowatt hour in 2015 to 3,612 kilowatt hour in 2050 to compensate the projected economic growth and population growth. Large hydro power plant targeted to be the main backbone for its system and plan to remove all diesel generator and oil generator. The power generation projection shown in this table, as we can see, the portion of renewable energy power plant also increased every year. In the RUET, they also give information about the potency of energy resources in the West Sumatra province, which refer from several studies from the government and then from another parties. The potency of energy resources in West Sumatra shown in this table. Some big river crossing between West Sumatra and Rio province, so the potency should be get noted like this one. The alternative energy planning for 50 designed by focusing only on electricity generation and power plant share. The alternative generation planning for 2050 has to produce electricity as much as the expected electricity consumption in 2050 in the RUET, which is 25.1 terawatt hour per year, because we assume there is no declining demand in 2050. Furthermore, the power plant size in the alternative scenario also have to below the West Sumatra potency of energy. So that means it is come from for its own West Sumatra potency. So all the power plant in scenario utilize their resources. Electricity production calculated on the capacity factor. The capacity factor is the ratio of the net electricity generated for the time considered to the energy that could have been generated at the continuous full power operating during the same period. It is represented in this equation. In this paper, the value of the capacity factor for all designated power plant types come from several resources, such as from EIA, IRENA, NREL, DECC, and etc. The capacity factor for each type power plant that we use in calculation shown in this table. The alternative electricity generation planning also has to be economically reasonable. To check the economical reasonability for the alternative scenario, the levelized cost of energy or LCOA is compared between the alternative plan with the original project scenario. The LCOA is a measure of the average net present cost electricity generation for a power plant over its lifetime to the total electricity production in its lifetime. The LCOA can be simplified in this equation. The electricity generation cost will calculate with the LCOA calculator from Danish Energy Agency. The Danish Energy Agency LCOA calculator is based on internationally acknowledged methodology and permits comparing different electricity production technology and considering the socio-economic electricity production cost. The LCOA calculator consists of an Excel-based model and manual discussing different aspects. The power generation cost in the calculation used from DEA database itself, from IRENA, from study from IRENA, ADB, and etc. The alternative electricity generation planning developed from the initial RED generation planning by taking all fossil power plant out and add two new types of renewable energy, the tidal power plant and the fuel cell power plant. Tidal power plant technology and fuel cell technology are believed will play a significant role in energy supply soon. Even though not described in the RUED, West Sumatra has a good potential of tidal energy since they have a long coastline and facing the Indian Ocean. Regarding the fuel cell power plant, the primary fuel source of this power plant is the hydrogen gas that are available in every area on the earth. So this kind of power plant can be operated in West Sumatra as well. In the alternative generation planning, the other renewable energy power plant share also increased, but still below the West Sumatra potential. The large hydro power plant is being the primary baseload supplier, replacing the coal power plant function, and the micro hydro power plant can be the peak load supplier, replacing the gas turbine generator. The composition of in the alternative scenario shown in this table. Calculation, we found that city production in 2050 from the RUED scenario is 25.1 terawatt hour, and the annual electricity production from alternative generation planning is 25.2 terawatt hour per year, while the RUED itself targeted the electricity consumption in West Sumatra province in 2050 is 25.1 terawatt hour per year. So the expected electricity consumption in 2050 fulfilled by the alternative generation planning scenario. The LCOA from the RUED scenario is we found is about 1,110 rupiah kilowatt hour per kilowatt hour, and for the alternative scenario is 983 rupiah kilowatt hour, with using euro and rupiah exchange rates in 30 April 2020. The LCOA value is the present value. As technology will going mature for renewable energy, the construction and operation cost might be decreased, and the LCOA will decrease too. As conclusion, the alternative scenario of power plant generation is West Sumatra, which developed based on the regional energy plan document on for 2050 meet the electricity consumption in year 2050. The LCOA of the alternative scenario below the original RUED scenario indicate that alternative scenario is economically viable. With the rapid development of renewable energy technology, West Sumatra can achieve 100% renewable energy electricity in 2050 and give reasonable energy security confidence for its people. The design alternative scenario still a primary design of renewable energy power plant deployment of an electricity system.
Okay, Rido, your
That's all for me.
okay.
Thank you for attention.
Time is over.
Thank you, Pak.
Okay, give the applause to Rido Arisadi from ITD, and then the next presenter is Novita Putri Rudiani. 10 minutes for you.
Okay.
Can share the presentation?
Yeah, maybe I would like to ask Mr. Rizky to share my presentation because I cannot share my screen from here. I've already sent the file to Mr. Rizky.
Okay. Share your presentation.
Excuse me, does it work?
Not yet. Maybe Jennifer, you have the presentation from Vita, from Novita. Because I don't have your file also. Or you can share your presentation file to the chat room. I will try to share with my account.
Okay. Well, actually, the size of file it's a bit big, so it takes time. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Already. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Dicky. Okay. So I would like to start presenting. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Shalom, namo buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Novita Putri Rudiani. I'm from Department of International Relations, Faculty of Communication and Diplomacy, Pertamina University, Jakarta. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the Committee of Medan International Conference on Energy and Sustainability 2020 for the opportunity to give us time to present our research result titled The Implementation of Energy Diplomacy by Substate Actors, Approaches of Surabaya Toward Kita Kyushu in this very special occasion. Secondly, I would also say thank you very much to all of my research team, Mrs. Sylvia Dian Anggreni, Ms. Gita Nur Hidayah, and Mr. Muhammad Firmansyah for their endless support as well as collaborative work so this research can be conducted. Okay, next please. Okay, the reason why we start this research is because we are trying to expand and develop the concept of energy security and energy diplomacy as well as its relations. But concepts are the characteristic of Department of International Relations of Pertamina University, as the energy issues has become one of crucial elements among international relation actors, ranging from state actors to non-state actors such as business and non-governmental organizations. Specifically in energy diplomacy practice, all of us must have basic assumption that the word diplomacy means an activity of the national government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs with all the official ambassador. However, we found out that the involvement of sub-state actor, in this case the local government, in the practice of energy diplomacy between Surabaya in Indonesia and Kitakyushu in Japan. The cooperation built by the government of Surabaya and Kitakyushu has already started in 2003 in the sector of clean water management. In 2010, the collaboration was intensified, and in 2012, both governments agreed on the creation of Memorandum of Understanding on Green Sister Cities. Entering the 2015, Surabaya and Kitakyushu implemented energy cooperation with aim to increase the energy efficiency behavior among the people of Surabaya. In addition to the fact that local government guides the implementation of energy diplomacy in order to build energy cooperation with external parties, we also found out that this collaboration also involved multi-stakeholders, ranging for academics and practitioners in Surabaya. Based on this condition, we conduct the research to particularly look at the ways of Surabaya government implemented the energy diplomacy towards Kitakyushu. So the research question is, how was the process of energy diplomacy until the energy cooperation had been agreed and intensified among between the Surabaya and Kitakyushu government? Next, please. So answering the research question, we combine two concepts of energy diplomacy and para-diplomacy. In this case, energy diplomacy strengthens the focus on the cooperation in energy-related issue, while para-diplomacy emphasizes the behavior of actors in conducting the approaches toward their diplomacy target. So first, I would like to explain about the energy diplomacy, as we try to take the substantial elements of this concept and we synthesize that the orientation of energy diplomacy is to secure the access to energy supply as well as promoting the potential energy business. Later on, the concept of energy diplomacy expand to include the environmental elements as the objective. Therefore, this diplomacy also aims to familiarize the behavior of energy saving, energy efficiency, and clean energy utilization. Secondly, the diplomacy of sub-state actor, which can be included to para-diplomatic practice. In this case, the local government, as part of national government, also has the right to participate in diplomacy practice in order to build collaborative partnership with external parties and directly solve the problem at grassroots level. The diplomacy implemented by the sub-state actor started within the scheme of sister city cooperation. This this condition is driven by the internal and external factors. The internal factors leads to the fact that the national government has been implementing the decentralization mechanism. Therefore, the local government has the autonomy to have political move, while the external factor leads to the fact that we are now living in an integrated world in which relations beyond national borders have become more easier. The initial process of energy diplomacy itself carried out by the sub-state actors through the three mechanisms. Those are local, internal, and external. As the approval to conduct the energy cooperation from the national government achieved, the sister city cooperation in energy sector started in three phases: association, reciprocal, and commercial. And these two mechanisms and phases are actually our core research. Next, please. Okay, next. Okay, next slide. Yes. Okay. On the slide 5. Slide number 5, please. Okay, thank you very much. So, given the fact that the national government implements decentralization governance, we can see that the way of conducting energy diplomacy has legal basis ranging from national to local law. The main guideline for energy diplomacy implementation is keeping in mind the national energy objective. These energy objectives are later represented in Indonesia's foreign policy in energy sector based on National Law Number 13 in 2007 by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources as the coordinator. The national law became the basis of General National Energy Plan or Rencana Umum Energi Nasional, which later derived to the provincial and city level. Therefore, the government is ready to implement the diplomacy practice. Next, please. On slide 6. Okay, thank you very much. So especially in energy sector cooperation, both Surabaya and Kitakyushu work on the establishment of the smart community in Surabaya. This agreement was the research of long process of diplomacy that happened in local, internal and external mechanism. In local mechanism, government of Surabaya tried to communicate the intention to build cooperation with Kitakyushu government through informal approach, by having people-to-people and business-to-business contact. After gaining positive vibe from the local mechanism, Surabaya government needs to coordinate with the national government through internal mechanism. So the proposal start the diplomacy should be given to several ministries, such as Ministries of Home Affairs and also Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of the State Secretary to get the letter of intent. After getting the letter of intent, Surabaya government, together with all of those ministries, needs to arrange the memorandum of understanding. So following the internal mechanism, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs start to take the foreign relations building. Accompanying the government of Surabaya, Indonesia's embassy in Japan, with the involvement of other Indonesian representatives, directed the diplomatic arrangement by focusing on providing legal and political consideration for the offer of cooperation. After the sign of the MOU, the energy cooperation started. In this case, both governments directly target the local people in Surabaya by raising awareness of energy efficiency. During the diplomacy process, Surabaya and Kitakyushu government also involves so many actors. And the main result of this energy diplomacy is the implementation of high technology energy control on air conditioners, which are installed in public area in Surabaya. Furthermore, the implementation of energy diplomacy by Surabaya government was conducted in 3 phases. The first one is associative phases, in which discussion and ideas exchange has become the main focus of negotiation. The second phase is reciprocal, which both cities started to have people exchange, including the academic and bureaucrats. And the last phase, which we can witness right now, is the commercial phase, in which the energy diplomacy and cooperation are oriented to increase the economic development. Next slide, please. We can jump to the slide 8. Okay. Slide 8. Yeah, okay. As I said before, that the energy diplomacy by the sub-state actor aim to directly solve the grassroots problem, we can see here that wider society also involved in the practice. In this case, local people were targeted as the object of energy cooperation, which academic group supports the energy diplomacy through their research and development. And also the energy diplomacy of both cities also embrace the participation of business actor, thus strengthening the original objective of the energy diplomacy, developing business energy sector. Next slide, please. Okay, so to conclude, we would like to emphasize that the energy diplomacy implementation has expanded by the role of the sub-state actor. In this case, the success story of Surabaya's approach toward Kita Kyushu has already shown this fact. Albeit the local government has a long way to coordinate with the national government, this energy diplomacy by the sub-state actor is indeed important to directly address the local problem. As wider community participates in the implementation of energy diplomacy initiated by the government of Surabaya towards Kita Kyushu, we are projecting that the other non-state actors have the opportunity to enhance also the energy diplomacy implementation through its particular role. Therefore, we are hoping that the future research will focus on the involvement of other non-state actors to support the study of energy diplomacy. That's all from me and my team. Thank you very much for your attention. If there are any question, please do not hesitate to ask us. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Bu Novita, for your presentation. And the next presenter is Ibu Fitri, ya?
Ya, Pak.
Okay, Bu Fitri, time is yours. 10 minutes.
Thank you, Pak Diki. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity that given to me to present our research with the title A Facility Location Problem for Biodiesel from Palm Oil Case Study in North Sumatra Province. Author are me, Fitriani Tupair Silalahi, Toga M. Simatupang, and Manahan Silagan. Okay, the research background, humans still...
Show your presentation.
Okay.
Click the slideshow.
Oh. Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, okay.
Okay. Humans still rely heavily on non-renewable energy sources. That is, around 78.4% use of energy are from fossil. A mixture of biodiesel with petroleum or petrodiesel is one effort to raise renewable energy usage. And in Indonesia, the development of biodiesel as a petroleum mixture have been started from 2009 with a target that is increasing every year. In 2018, B20 is applied in all sectors. That is for PSO and non-PSO. B20, it means that a mixture from 20% of biodiesel and 80% of petroleum. And in 2020, government raised the target to B30. Government raised this target because biodiesel program have many advantages in our country. Some of the advantages are improve the welfare of oil palm farmer, increase national energy security, and foreign exchange savings from reduced consumption of petroleum. Talking about biodiesel program cannot be separated from the effectiveness of the supply chain use. The biodiesel supply chain in Indonesia as follows. First, from plantation, from palm oil, plantation, palm oil is processed in PKS into CPO. And in biorefineries, CPO is is processed into biodiesel. And before the biodiesel bring to retail outlet, biodiesel is mixed with petroleum in blending facilities. In Indonesia, blending facilities is terminal bahan bakar minyak. And from TBBM or blending facilities, the B30 or B20 or around government mandate is bring to retail outlet to distribute to demand location. When government raised the target to B30, there are some research. For example, as 2019, the biodiesel industry total capacity only around 11.3 million kiloliter, with capacity utilization in 2019, the capacity is 60% from total plant capacity. But operating capacity is maximum 85% to 95% of installed capacity. And when the government raised to B30, the biodiesel use is 85% from total plant capacity, and that makes industry unable to export biodiesel as is usually done. In North Sumatra case study, there are already 4 biodiesel plants with total plant capacity around 1.7 million kiloliter. And all these plants located in Medan, allocated to meet national needs because of its location close to the port. And raw material in North Sumatra is abundant, around 6 million tons CPO per year. So to meet national needs and export needs, a recommendation for a biodiesel plant construction is needed. And it's implied we need a recommendation for a biodiesel plant location. So this research objective is to minimize biodiesel supply chain costs by determining the location of biodiesel plant to meet biodiesel demand in North Sumatra. And this location is expected to produce policy recommendation to decision makers. So the methodology we use in this research, in order to save biodiesel supply chain costs, the description of system is as follows. The model will calculate the cost obtained starting from delivery from the location of raw material to the location of biodiesel plant to the location of TBBM to be mixed with petroleum and then to location of demand. In North Sumatra case study, biomass location there are in 22 points, and biodiesel plant location there are 33 locations that can be chosen to be biodiesel plant location. And TBBM location in North Sumatra there are 5, and the demand location there are 33. It's according to the number of regency in North Sumatra. The demand cluster we use in this research will be calculated based on the population per region. And transportation use in this study are tank trucks and ship. Tank trucks are used to transport CPO from palm oil mill to biodiesel plant, from biodiesel plant to fuel oil terminal, and from fuel oil terminal to demand location. Ships are used to transport oil in the area that do not have land access, that is from Sumatra Island to Nias Island. And the distance between 2 points will be calculated by using Google Maps to have spatial distance, and to calculate the distance between port will be use NetPass software. And we use mathematical modeling that will to determine the most appropriate location and size of the biodiesel plant, taking into account the availability of feedstock, demand, and supply chain costs. And the model will not optimize at the minimum cost in one sector, but minimize biofuels overall cost for the region welfare. So the total cost that we will be calculated is summation from cost 1 to cost 5, with cost 1 is the cost incurred for the transportation of raw materials from raw material sources to the biodiesel industry location. Cost 2 is the cost to bring D100 or FAME to the fuel oil terminal location or to TBBM. And cost 3 is transportation cost from TBBM to all of demand location. Cost 4 is the plant setup cost in the full oil terminal if the plant is open, and cost 5 is the cost of plant setup cost if the biodiesel plant is open. The model has been described using optimization software Chiplex IDA 12.10.0 using MILP model, multiple integer linear programming, and the model is will produce an optimal solution with the number of variables 1094 and constraint 1291. And from the calculation, we choose that selected biodiesel plant location into place that is in Langkat and Serdang Bedagai with capacity in this presentation. And the TBBM point, that is the from biodiesel plant will be delivered to TBBM to be mixed with petroleum, that is from Langkat to TBBM Medan and TBBM Kisaran, and from Serdang Bedagai to TBBM Sibolga, Gunung Sitoli, and Pematang Siantar. So if we look the map, the red point is the location of TBBM in 5 locations. The blue dot is the location of the selected biodiesel plant location, and the black dot is the demand location. And we also found that from every TBBM will be share the B30 to all of these demand location. That is from TBBM Medan to Simalungun daerah, etc. Okay, to have validity of the optimization model, we use sensitive analysis. Validation of the model is done by looking at the sensitivity analysis of the resulting model. The result of the sensitivity analysis are shown in this figure. So we choose the some parameter, that is land transportation cost, demand, sea transportation cost, fixed torture, and TBBM capacity. From the sensitive analysis, we found that the changing parameter of the amount of raw material does not affect at all, meaning that the amount of raw material is sufficient to meet demand needs. And the conclusion, the study determined the biodiesel plant location be built in North Sumatra to meet demand in North Sumatra itself, so that the distribution costs are minimum. And this distribution costs include biodiesel plant costs, shipping costs, from the feedstock site to the biodiesel plant site, from the biodiesel site to the TBBM, and from TBBM to all of demand area. And we found optimum location in 2 area. And this cost does not include biodiesel production cost, petrodiesel production cost, and petrodiesel transportation from the petrodiesel refinery to its TBBM. And the study results are expected to be a policy recommendation for stakeholder or for decision maker when choosing a biodiesel plant located in North Sumatra. That's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Bu Fitriani, Pak Rido, and Vita. And for the participants, if you have any question, please raise your hand and you can ask directly to the presenter. If you don't want to raise your hand, please write down your question in the chat room. Or Pak Rido, Bu Fitri, and Bu Vita, you can ask the question to the other ones because we have no question in my chat room, and also there is no one raise hand. I think Bu Vita, you want us to Bu Fitri or Pak Rido, or we can change Pak Rido want to ask to Bu Fitri, because it's
May
actually it's not my background. Okay, Pak Rido, please.
I want to ask some question to Bu Vita. Is there any data that how much the CO2 emission reduction from the cooperation between Surabaya and the Japan city? And in your opinion, how effective that cooperation to in accelerating the energy efficiency program in Surabaya itself? Thank you.
You can answer directly the question from Pak Rido.
Okay. So thank you very much for the question, Mr. Rido. So actually, we are trying to gain lots of quantitative data from the government of Surabaya and also government of Kitakyushu. However, I need to admit that I'm not focused on the data. Yeah. So, but you can also find the percentage of I'm sorry, I'm looking for the data. But you can maybe find the data in the report of IGES. So as long as I know, the IGES is a platform of like the epistemic community in Kitakyushu, and some of their researcher, they came to Surabaya and also conduct research and development in the city. So according to the report, there is wait a minute, because my okay, wait, I need to search Surabaya. So actually, the cooperation between Surabaya and Kitakyushu is in the terms of energy cooperation. There is a GCM SIM, yeah, the Joint Credit Mechanism. So in the okay, we need to. Wait a minute. In the system, the government of Surabaya and Kitakyushu try to focus on waste PLTSA. So the establishment of pembangkit listrik tenaga sampah, and I'm not sure how much the reduce for city, but I believe that it's because here in the report it is said that the program, the GCM program, has successfully coincided with the activities of Green and Clean campaign. It is considered to be a good example of drawing the attention and motivation of the administration and resident, spreading throughout the city to dramatically reduce the amount of waste and also carbon reduction to greening and beautification of the city. In this case, is Surabaya. However, I'm so sorry that I cannot give you the precise amount of the carbon reduction. However, I can share to you the percentage of the waste reduced. So the demonstration from the GCM mechanism, the demonstration showed that waste could be reduced by 75% by collectively treating the organic waste. So it's more like reduced in the waste sector instead of the carbon sector. So I'm so sorry, cannot explain to you precisely how much Surabaya can reduce their carbon footprint. However, I can maybe share to you the report from the IGES. Maybe you have interest to do more research in Surabaya and also in Japan. And also for the second question, could you please repeat your question, Mr. Rido?
In your opinion,
Yeah.
is the cooperation is effective way to accelerate the energy efficiency program or renewable energy program
Okay.
compared to national level cooperation maybe? Thank you.
Okay, if is it compared to national level, I still that there is a very long way of the government of Surabaya to achieve and contribute to the NRE development. However, we can see we can compare to the situation in Surabaya before 2010. So before 2010, 2010, I mean, Surabaya have lots of problems of environmental and also energy utilization. In this case, the Surabaya government try to solve this problem, and also they try to develop the technology by having a cooperation with Japan. To what extent is the success story? In my opinion, maybe I also represent my team. We see that there is a very good projects from the government of Surabaya and also Japan, Kitakyushu especially, because the first one, they have the waste management, and also Surabaya itself has already established the PLTSA, as I said before, and this PLTSA is projected to be pembangkit listrik percontohan. So one of the example from the other PLTSA in other region. That's the first. And the second one is regarding to the solar panel. If you happen to visit in Surabaya since 2010, the traffic light, the traffic light in our road is now generated with the solar panel. So every traffic light has the solar panel. So it shows that the government of Surabaya have commitment to expand and also to develop more new and renewable energy. That's my opinion. Maybe hopefully it can answer your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for explanation.
I'm sorry, Mr. Diki, you still mute your microphone.
Yeah, I want to ask you to Bu Peter about the how safety the PLTSA in Indonesia. Seberapa aman? Because we don't have the sorting waste program in our country, right? It could be the new pollution will produce from the PLTSA.
Well, Mr. Diki, I'm very sorry because it's still azan in Medan or something. So
yeah.
yeah, your voice is like.
Okay. Okay. My question is how safety the PLTSA in our country, in Indonesia, because like Bandung, I think it's still ignore the PLTSA, right?
Yeah. Okay. So actually, as long as I know that the national government try to expand the PLTSA, yeah, in several regions such as Bandung, Semarang, and then Surabaya, and also Bali, and also right now I'm staying in Surabaya, and several months ago, the government of Bali come to Surabaya to look the implementation of PLTSA in our city, but to you're asking about how can this PLTSA contribute to the use of renewable energy? Is it your questions?
Yeah, for the renewable energy, it's the solution, but my background is biologist, so the problem is the environment problem will come from the PLTSA, because we don't have the sorting waste program in our country, right? Yeah, so it's will hard for us to get the safety PLTSA, I think.
Okay, so what I'm trying to understand from your question is how the PLTSA can be sustainable, because we still lack of methodology to waste composting, something like that.
Yes, that's for the organic waste, right? But the problem in our country, we don't sorting the waste.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you mean that we separate this is bottle, this is plastic, this is glass. Okay, so actually that's the problem. So in this research, we also talked to one of the representative of the government of Surabaya, and actually they also have the problem of the people's behavior, because you know that if you talk about behavior, about habit, right, it is not so easy to change the habit of the people, especially when we talk about a society. There's lots of people in Surabaya, and they also come from lots of background. However, in this case, regarding to the method that is implemented by the government of Surabaya, the dinas yang berhubungan dengan sampah itu what it's called, dinas kebersihan, dinas kebersihan kota, they try to have regular socialization for the people, and also especially they who live near the river basin. So when they try to socialize, we can see that also we can monitor the progress from the people to implement the new perspective of waste composting. And also regarding our research, it is also I'm right now typing the report from the IGES. So actually, waste in Surabaya has been steadily increasing as the population grows. However, through the as the cooperation between Surabaya and Kita QC also regarding the environmental, there is one specific issue in waste sector that is called Takakura method of composting. So based on this cooperation between the local government, we try to educate our people to at least separate the waste. And also I personally think that it is very hard to do, because we talk about lots of people, but we are trying to be optimistic to support that the implementation of waste separation will be effective. And also for the PLTSA, we can answer that the implementation or the progress of the PLTSA in Surabaya cannot be directly to transfer lots of energy to the society in Surabaya, but also it needs to be step by step. So it is started since the PLTSA is located in west of Surabaya. It is started from the West Surabaya, and then hopefully it can increase the amount, and also it can make the people more aware of the waste management in the cities. Maybe my team from Miss Sylvia Dian Anggraini, Miss Gita,
yes.
and also Mr. Firmansyah can would like to add some arguments. Please.
Okay, Bu Gita, time is over because we have the next parallel
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
And thank you for the interesting presentation for the all presenter. Okay, give the applause and see you next time. I close with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore semuanya kepada para peserta dan pendengar. Sorry, I forgot to speak in English because normally I give my lectures in Indonesia. Okay, let me introduce first myself. My name is Ahmad Hussein Siregar. I am a lecturer in University of Sumatera Utara in Medan in Mechanical Energy Engineering Department. I will be the moderator for this group 4. We will, before we begin for our session, for our presentation, I will try to explain a bit about our oral presentation session. The presenter will have around 10 minutes or more, maximum 50 minutes. And I think we will conduct all four presentations, and at the end we'll have the questions for the presenters. For the audience or listeners, you can write your questions in chat room, or you may also ask directly the presenter after all 4 presentations are completely presented. Now we will hear the first presentation. It's from Mr. Wahyudi from Department of Food Science and Forest Products, Faculty of Forestry, University of Papua. This presentation, it's about characteristic of wood pellet, which come from sawdust pelletized with the hand meat grinder. So, Mr. Wahyudi, are you here now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Here. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Time is yours, Mr. Wahyudi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I share my screen?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen from the West Papua. From the Department of Wood Science and Forest Product, we would like to present our research on characteristic of wood pellets from sawdust pelletized with hand meat grinder. And the theme of this research include myself, Wahyudi, Ms. Arifuddin, Ms. Anna Okata Parai, and Ms. Sariningsih. Woodworking activities to produce timber products produce several byproducts, such as here, sawdust, slab, and wood wool, etc. You can extrude in here in this picture. And although at the same time, sago starch extraction from sago produce various byproducts, for example, sago pulps. So the idea of this research is to combine two of waste here in West Papua to produce wood pellet as the new renewable energy, or maybe bioenergy from biomass. This is the material methods. So actually, this very simple research. It is our preliminary research. We have 3 different species of wood sawdust here, from the light, medium, and high density. For the light one, we have Binuang or Octomales sumatrana. The medium density, we have Matua, and the highest density, we have Merbau. It has around 0.9 gram centimeter cubic in density. And as a binding agent, we use tapioca flours and sago pulp powders. For research variables, we use the variable released by Indonesian National Standards 8031-2014. This we call physicochemical properties. It consists of moisture contents, volatile metals, ash content, fixed carbon, and caloric value. This the research procedure, how wood pellet were produced. For tapioca flour, we use 3 different concentration for 30, 40, and 50% according to weight basis. And also for sago pulp powder, we use 60, 70, and 100. We use here 100 because if we use less than 60%, the mix of binding agent and wood powder is not satisfied as we want. So initially, we diluted a binder agent, for example, tapioca flour in hot water, and then mix with wood flour, and then pelletize using hand grinder with manually. This our team, our student, use hand grinder to produce this pellet, and finally we cut the pellet we produce to the length that we want according to the standard. This is the results. So here the 2 different boxes, the blue and the green. The blue is a concern about the physical characteristic of wood pellets. In here we have diameter, length, moisture content, and density. So for example, for diameter and pellet length, so all variable from 2 different binding agents could produce diameter and length according to the Indonesian standard. But we can see here that at average, the moisture content is higher than the maximum content low in the standard. It also for the density, roughly at average, the density is close to 0.8. That's the minimum requirement for pellet density according to the standards. And here the green boxes, this represent the chemical characteristic of wood pellet, it consists of here volatile metals, as content, fixed carbon, and caloric value. So importantly, all the caloric value is close to the minimum calor recommended by the standards, is almost close to the 4,000 calorie per grams. But in here, the fixed carbon and also as content, the fixed carbon is very low here, very low here. And the as content and also almost a maximum, it should be less than 1. And also volatile metal is almost the maximum. It must be reduced. So from these results, we can say that using hand-made grinder available in the local markets, residual waste from woodworking activity could be manufactured into wood pellet with binding agent of tapioca flour or sagu pulp residue, even though their characteristics are varied. Wood pellet dimension, particularly diameter and length, produced are fulfilled to the Indonesian national standards for wood pellet, but the moisture content of wood pellet produced from all treatment exceed the maximum value. So it could be maybe in the short drying time, or maybe we use too much water for mixing wood powder and binding agents. Density of wood pellet recorded in average are close to the minimum value recommended, but it could be improved if we use different pellet ties or modify hand-made pellet ties. Because we suppose that using hand-made grinder, the pressure, maybe is not consistent, because maybe in the morning, if we are still full in energy, we can use strong energy to produce pressure, but lately maybe a different pressure we produce. The other wood pellet characteristic, such as volatile metals, as content, fixed carbon, recorded from this experiment are not consistent to the recommended value. It is probably because we use low pressure, as I said before, inconsistently, and we use also a high concentration of binding agent and water. So we can see that for sagu pulp powder, we use 100%. So maybe it influence the chemical characteristic of pellets. So for conclusion, woodworking residual biomass, and here we use sawdust from the 3 wood species and sagu pulp residue could be manufactured into wood pellet using a hand-made grinder manually. Although the characteristic of wood pellet didn't full all value recommended by the Indonesian national standards, the wood pellet dimension and density are close to the recommended values. Importantly, the caloric value are fulfilling the minimal standard value recommended. And here, now we bought the new installed pelletizer with diesel engine. So hopefully, in the next experiment, we will produce the good quality of pellet and meet the Indonesian standard for wood pellets. That's all for my presentation. Thank you. Time back for the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Wahyudi for exciting presentation. I think you have discussed about wood pellet and what exceed the minimum required by standard national of Indonesia.
Yes.
I think we will go to the second presentation. from Heri Nico Siagian or Febriadi Saputra. I think Heri Nico is already here. It's about how the ground-mounted versus floating photovoltaic power plant. The presenter is from Operation Directorate PT Pembangkitan Jawa Bali Investasi, Jakarta, Indonesia. So, for Heri Nico Siagian, please have your time. Thank you.
Okay, Pak. Can you hear me, Pak?
Yes, I can hear. I can
Yes,
hear
yes.
you.
Okay, thank you. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First of all, I would like to welcome and also thank you for Pak Hussein Siregar for the opportunity for us to present our research. Also, I would like also to thanks for the attendee for your time for us to discuss in this presentation. My name is Heri Nico Siagian. Me and Pak Febriadi Saputra are from PT PJB Investasi. So in this time, we would like to present our paper, which title is Ground-Mounted versus Floating PV Power Plant, Trade-off using game theory in utility scale PV power plant decision making. Basically, this paper want to analyze and to simulate how to make investment decision making in terms of PV photovoltaic power plant in ex-coal mine area. So according to IRENA, Power Generation Cost 2019, the project cost of the PV power plant is decreased significantly, 79% compare if we compare 2010 to 2019. This has happened because the price of the PV power plant, particularly the module, has been decreased so big and very significant. And also in terms of the capacity factor, the capacity factor is increased 13.8%, which is 40% in 2010 compared to 80% in 2019. This has happened because a lot of PV power plant development is located in the area which have a lot of irradiation or a lot of or we can call it sunnier than the previous one. So due to these two main factors, the levelized cost of electricity is declined also very significantly declined into 82% in 2019 compared to 2010. So it means that there are a lot of breakthrough and opportunity for the development of the PV power plant. Particularly, the opportunity also in Indonesia. So if we want to build a PV power plant, there are two options. We can build it in ground, and also we can develop a floating PV power plant. And in this PV power plant, the mounting system requires cost up to 16 to 21%. If we see this picture, we can see that the difference between PV and floating and grounded PV power plant, especially in the mounting system, because the floating PV power plant requires mooring and anchoring system when in the installation process. So the project cost of the floating PV itself is more expensive compared to the ground mounted. On the other hand, there are also a lot of opportunities to build a power plant in the ex-coal mining area in Indonesia. There are two potential areas. The first one is the water void. This is the ex of a mine pit, which is basically a reservoir and not being reclaimed. And the other one is the waste dump area. This can be installed a ground PV power plant on that area. So regarding this opportunity, there are also additional reclamation costs when the investor decide to build the PV in the water void or in the waste dump. So in our research, we find that in terms of project cost, floating PV is more expensive than the ground-mounted PV. But the floating PV is about 11% more efficient compared to ground-mounted PV due to the humidity of the floating PV power plant. And in terms of the reclamation area, if it is developed in water void, the waste dump area requires to be reclaimed. But if it is developed in the waste dump, the water void should be reclaimed and also should be dumped or piled up. So the research question in our paper is how to optimize and simulate the critical factors so that investor and the utility company can make an optimum power plant development investment decision making in the ex-coal mine area. So the methodology is consists of three big parts. The first one is the risk factor mapping. We will identify the risk factor in the PV power plant and also the risk factor when do the reclamation process in a mining area. The second activities is doing a critical risk factor analysis by doing a sensitivity analysis, and then after that we will determine the critical risk factor, and after that we will simulate using game theory by try to calculate the input, the internal rate of return on equity, because this is the parameter for the investor to make an investment decision making. And then we will compare between two scenarios for non-reclamation and then reclamation scenario. So basically, there are three types of game of theory: the games of skill, games of change, and games of strategy. In this case, our case study is suitable for the game of change criteria. So if we mapping the risk factor in PV power plant in X mining area, there are some risk factor. In terms of EPC cost, the risk factor is the PV module, how much is the PV module, and then the mounting system. The other one is inverter and also the balance of plant. In the technical aspect, there are some risk factor. The first one is project capacity, and then the second one is specific yield, degradation factor, and also the construction period. And in terms of the first one is cost of reclamation, and then the cost of overburden removal, depth of the mine pit, and also the area to be reclaimed. So based on the sensitivity analysis, we find that the risk factor in this case is the mounting system, the balance of plant, the depth of mine pit, and also the area to be reclaimed. After we do the sensitivity analysis, the order of significance, the first one is the depth of mine pit, the area to be reclaimed, the mounting system, and also the balance of plant, not the BOS. So based on this critical risk factor, we will try to simulate it into the financial model, and we'll try using the game theory. So in the financial model assumption, we use the project capacity 50 megawatt peak. This is referred to World Bank SM EP series. report in 2019. And for the specific yield, we use 1,543 kilowatt hour per kilowatt peak. This is referred to a feasibility study of PV power plant, one of PV power plant in Indonesia. The availability is 99%. The project cost for the mounting system, because the floater is sorry, this is what do you call it, kebalik ya Pak. For the mounting system is quite more expensive for the floating to ground. For the debt equity ratio, we use 80 to 20%. For the OB removal cost, we use 1.6 $1 per bank cubic meter. This is Capman 9,730 per hectare. If we do the scenario and assume that the PV power plant development is assumed to be reclamation process, means that to do the reclamation process anymore, especially in the water void, because the development of P can come as the process actually will be the optimal solution compared to the grounded. So we found that the ground mounted power plant will be more commercial if the depth is 426 meters. It means because there are no mine pit in Asia with this depth, we can call that for all mine pit with this assumption, we can call that the floating PV is the optimal solution. The scenario number 2, if we assume that is less than, so if the depth more than 86 meters, it means that it is better to build a ground mounted PV in the west down area. So based on our study, we find some conclusion. The first one is the critical success factor for PV power plant development in X mine area. The first one is depth of mine pit, the area to be reclaimed, the mounting system, and also the balance of the system. The second one, if the PV development is assumed to be a reclamation process, a floating PV power plant will be an optimal solution until 426.5 meters of depth. And the third one, if PV development is assumed to be a reclamation process, a floating PV power plant will be an optimal solution until 86 meters of depth. That's it from us. Thank you for your time. If you have any question, please feel free to ask and clarify. Thank you. Thank you, Pak Hussein.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Eri Niko Siagian. Yeah, there are a lot of economic terms in your presentation, but I think it's exciting topic. Although some of the term might be unfamiliar for other people, for example, for engineers like me that are not so accustomed with the economic terms. But I think your comparison has an exciting final final result. Yeah, you compare about floating, about floating and grounded photovoltaic system. But if the listeners have questions, I think we will conduct questions and answers in the last part of this session. Okay, for the next presentation, we will hear the presentation about decarbonizing the electricity system in Sumatra region between using nuclear and renewable energy-based power generation. This is from Miss Ika Wahyu Setya Andani, yeah, and other authors. So I read here, this is from various organizations. So I think I will give the time for Miss Ika to present the presentation. So
Yes,
Miss Ika, please have your
ini,
time.
it's me that will present it because Miss Ika he has another meeting that not yet
Okay.
finished.
Okay,
So it's
Mr.
Bonerges.
Boanerges Destrianto Siregar. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Boanerges.
Sorry, but I can share screen, but I already sent my PowerPoint to the apa, to the co-host. So I hope
Okay.
co-host can.
Okay, co-host. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Mr.
This
Boanerges.
afternoon. Oh, yes.
Could you
Hello?
please,
Yes, hello?
maybe you could speak a bit louder?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, could you please a bit louder?
Okay. Oh, hello.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's good.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Boanerges Destrianto Siregar. I will present about my paper with my colleagues Wahyu, Agus Sugiono, and Hustul Kotima about decarbonizing the electricity system in Sumatra region using nuclear and renewable energy-based power generation. And the outline in this paper about introduction, result and discussion, and also conclusion. And next. The introduction. The renewable and new and renewable energy mix in Indonesia is still low. Whereas the national primary energy mix target is in 2025 is around 23%, but in 2018 it's only 9%. So it's very low because it will increase to 31% in 2050. And because of that, we need development and energy planning is carried out by local renewable energy project TNC that's carried out by PLN, our state electricity company, RUPTL, which in line with Indonesia involved in effort to reduce greenhouse gases emission as stated in Paris Agreement. Because instead, need for low carbon energy and to develop energy using scenario, which is renewable energy technology, carbon capture storage, and also economic generate. And for this, we targeted about the current electricity in Sumatra region only. The methodology projection of electricity demand supply, which is used to analyze the carbons, is to create an energy model to forecast long-term electricity demand. Because we area that we choose is in Sumatra, so the current system electricity system in Sumatra electricity distribution using 175 high voltage transmission line or SUTET that connect from southern Sumatra until northern Sumatra from Jalan Susu to Hat with along 2,905 kilometers circuit. Then so in Sumatra region, next the renewable energy potential is very enormous, such as geothermal, large energy, large energy hydropower, small, and also solar power plant. Next, please. Solar power plant, which is around 68 and 79 megawatt. And because that a lot of potential, there is another potential that can exploit in Sumatra, which is nuclear. But Batam, as the initiator of the development of nuclear energy power plant, that already conduct several studies and research. It's quite instant, but regulation from government that direction for development of nuclear power plant in Indonesia. Next, about demand and supply of electricity, as you can see on the table, on the picture, the demand of electricity around 35 megawatt hours in 2018 and will increase 7.5% from the last year. And the electricity demands come from social sector around 55%, followed by industrial sector around 10%, and business sector around 70%. Because government want many industrial sector using electricity, they have to use special economic zone or KEK. And as you can see, the installed capacity of power plant is in 2008 around 2.4 gigawatt, and its majority from coal around 35%, gas, hydro, geothermal, and diesel usually in a remote area. Next. And for the result and the discussion, decarbonization is analyzed for period 2025 to 2050 by replacing the fossil fuel-based power plant renewable energy power plant by using assumption of population, economy, electricity demand growth, and so we project electricity demand, electricity generation, CO2 emission from power plant in Sumatra region, which is we can narrow it down to 3: business as usual, decarbonization way, and potential to reduce CO2 emission. Next. Next. This table that assumption that we use, census population, economy, and electricity demand growth, 2018 to 2050. Next. And you can see is projection of electrical city demand in Sumatra region. It increased from 35 terawatt hours in 2009, increased to 270 terawatt hours, or increase around 6.6% per year. In industrial sector, is increase more around 0.2% each year. Please. This picture is a projection electricity generation in Sumatra region. Electricity grow from 43 hours in 2009 to 100 in 2050, increase around 6 to 6.3% each year. As you can see, coal is still dominant supplying of electricity demand, on 35% in 2008, 2% in 2050. As you can see, the diesel is gradually reduced because it's not economical. The price is still high. Next. Okay. As you can see, in projection of CO2 emission from power plant in Sumatra as business as usual scenario, abuse power plant will produce CO2 emission, while renewable and nuclear energy based power plant are considered have no emission. Fuel for a power plant is coal, natural gas, and diesel oil. CO2 emission increased from 2000 in 2018 from 36 million ton of CO2 to 163 million CO2 in 2050. Okay, next. Okay, in decarbonization pathway, there's option for power plant analyzed for renewable and nuclear energy based technology. Each power plant has its strength and weakness in technical and economic terms, such as biogas power plant. Palm oil waste is large source of fuel, which capacity per unit up to 10 megawatt. The generation cost is still expensive, around 10.8 to 28.3 cents per kilowatt hour. And with power plant, generation cost around 10.89 to 11.3 cents dollar per kWh, which one unit think capacity about 2.5 megawatt, which already installed in Polo in South Sulawesi. And geothermal power plant costs around 11.93 to 12.20 cents, depending on the quality of resource and the condition of infrastructure. Minus of geothermal power plant because the location is usually remote. That's the main problem to for the transmission. And power plant usually is in development stage and not yet operational, but the cost is very high, around above 25 cents. Okay, biomass power plant in Indonesia already operating around 2 until 50 megawatts, and generation cost around 10.12 to 11.26 cents. Hydropower plant is the cheapest generation cost, around 7.2%. That already installed in many provinces in Indonesia. So capacity around 4.4 gigawatt. And then solar power plant, which start development in centralized system and roof. Generation cost 5.19 to 18.65%. Estimate investment cost will continue. The means of solar power plant, because it's intermittent power plant, so there must be a base power plant that back up solar power plant. And the last is nuclear power plant, 1000 megawatt class pressure water reactor atau PWR. The power plant is candidate to be considered in plan duration power planning model. On data in IEA, the generation cost around 3.44 until 18.57 cents per kWh. Okay, next. Okay, now, and for potential to reduce CO2 emission, for this picture, that you can see that the calculation in 2030, emission could around 0.1% to 0.8% renewable energy power plant, up to 20% for nuclear power plant. Then if we install nuclear power plant around 29 gigawatt, can reduce 100% CO2 emission, which reaches 163 million tons in 163 million tons of CO2. And if we install solar, can reduce emission up to 86.5% with capacity of 68 gigawatt. But not technically possible because intermittent. And hydropower plant reduce emission up to 79.2% with capacity of 21.3 gigawatt. And geothermal can reduce emission by 27% with capacity of 7.5 gigawatts. For the conclusion, using low carbon technology in short term increase generation cost directly. The electricity sector, the use of renewable energy and nuclear-based power plant is an optional, will realize effort. Most significant potential for decarbonization the electricity system in Sumatra region is the use of nuclear power plant, which can reach 100% emission by 2050. However, in the long run, the overall economy will be better off. And key is quantifying economically the impact of environment damage to the use of fossil energy. Use of low carbon technology that environmentally friendly will improve the quality of the community living environment. Therefore, the environmental damage in the long term can be minimized. Thank you. That's my presentation. If you have a question, and if it to chat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Boanerges, for your comprehensive explanation about sources of electricity generation that cover the cost of the electricity generation for various sources. We will have the questions in the last part of this session. When we go to the last presentation, it will be conducted by Mr. Haryadi from Research Center, Expertise Agency, Secretariat General, Indonesia's HOR, Jakarta. This presentation about the performance geothermal power generation in the last 5 years in Indonesia in order to achieve renewable generation target in 2025, critical review. Mr. Haryadi, are you there? Okay. Okay, Mr. Haryadi, It's your turn now.
Thank you very much, moderator. Could you hear my voice? Sorry.
Yeah, I could.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear your voice.
Before I start, let me share my slide on your screen. Okay. Can you see my slide on your devices?
Yes.
Okay. What about my voice? Is it clear and loud enough to follow, moderator?
If you could make a bit louder, it will be
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for this opportunity. Uh, this is indeed an honor for me to be here with you. In a few minutes, let me present my paper, which focuses on the issue of geothermal power generation's performance for the 5 years for the past 5 years in Indonesia to achieve 2025 RE target, renewable target, a critical review. To begin with, let me outline my main point of presentation as follows. Let me move on to the introductions. The enactment of the law 21/2014, amending the law 27/2003 on geothermal reflects, as I believe, tougher political will and breakthrough policy from the government for geothermal power generation, or GPG, and their contribution for RE, renewable energy, sustainable development, climate change mitigation effort. In this case, nationally determined contribution as mandated by Paris Agreement. Of course, why I say that this is this amended law, the law number 21/2014, is reflecting tougher political will of the government, and breakthrough policy can is reflected in the three things. The first is that the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources has set out the targets for geothermal up to 2025 is about 7 gigawatt, and the Ministry of the government has also set out the target for renewable energy mix for 23% in 2025. The next one is, the poor, of course, because of the poor performance of the GPG at the preceding years. My analysis that the new enacted law is, is seen as a breakthrough policy, or reflecting the government higher political wills, also can be seen from the general framework of the Indonesian geothermal law and policies. As you may see, on your screen, that there are related laws regarding which reinforce, the development of renewable. The development of GPG, such as law of energy, law of electricity, and then environmental protection and management law, forestry law, and of course ratification of the Paris Agreement. And each with implementing regulations such as president government regulations, presidential decrees, and as well as ministerial decrees. But somehow that even though there has been, a breakthrough policy still, by 2019, the installed GPG is still, 1.8 gigawatt or 650 megawatt during the 2015-2019 period, or each year the installed GPG is only 130 megawatt per annum, so it is far below the RUEN target. RUEN meaning is the National Energy General Plan or National Energy Policy of 3.2 gigawatt in 2019. So, with economically more expensive and declining fossil sources, thus more political will and breakthrough policies are needed. Okay, I think this is theoretical perspective I use in this paper. I use national energy transition, which focuses that political will or political perspective is the most important, together with economic development as well as technology innovation. Coming back to the method, as I mentioned earlier, that this article is a qualitative critical review about the breakthrough policy impact, in this case, the law 21/2015 on geothermal during 2015-2019, and I use secondary data. Let me move on to the result and discussions. This screen will show you the main reasons why the breakthrough policy, why the government finally enacted new amended law, the law number 21/2014, because as you see on the screen that according to the roadmap 2006-2025, for example 2008, the government has to install around 2 gigawatt, and 2020 around 6 gigawatt. But if you see the next slide, there is a kind of a deep gap between between roadmap and the installed capacity of GPG. For example, 2008, the installed GPG is only less than half because of the target 2 gigawatt, while 2012, for example, from 2012, 3.4 gigawatt, but the installed capacity is only 1.3 gigawatt, so even less than 40% of the installed capacity. I think this performance led the government to enact the law 21/2004. But the question is, what kind of breakthrough aspect of the new amended law, the law 21/2014 on geothermal? The first, I think, centralization of the GPG development, because before, when I talk about the geothermal development, the authority to give permission is from the regional government, but by the new law, the permissions, I mean the central government has to has the right to issue the permissions aspect. The second one is about the geothermal activities or geothermal exploitation activities is no longer treated as mining activities, because based on the previous law, law 27/2003, that geothermal is only able to be exploited in production and protected forests. But now, based on the new law 21/2014, geothermal development project activities can be exploited in conservation forests. and I think this is very important aspect because 21% of our geothermal reserve, is located in the conservation forest. More breakthrough aspect of the new policy of the Law 21/2014 is about the pressing, the government has been committed to give more incentive for developer. In this case, for geothermal developer, like pricing is said to be inclusive in the economy, and then the government now has the right to do what is called preliminary survey and drilling activities, and of course, by based on this law, the government has established what is called geothermal facility funds, because one of the problem in in developing geothermal for power generation is about the funding. Again and again, if you look at the table 2, installed capacity 2015-2019, if you see that by 2019, the installed capacity of GPG is only 2.2 gigawatt. So it is just it was just 7.2% of the potential in 2019. This performance, of course, is less than the target set by the RUEN, or National Energy Policy, of the target 3.2 gigawatt in 2019. From the data, we can also say that GPG performance only experienced an average increase of 130 megawatt per annum during the same period. So, with this data, I can argue that based on a business as usual scenario, the additional GPG development is likely to only 900 megawatt, or install totally about 2,900 megawatt in 2025. With the assumption it is in optimistic perspective. But what more important is that this scenario implies at least two important things. That the National Energy Policy, or National Energy General Plan target will not certainly be achieved. I mean, renewable energy generation target in 2025, will be disrupted because the target is very, very high, about 45 gigawatt. The second one is the need for breakthrough, quote unquote, breakthrough policy approach within, the existing legal framework. So the question is, what instrument to optimize? The first, of course, the government has to promote government funding for preliminary survey and exploration drilling, because this piece is very expensive, and many private sector can afford to do this phase. The second one, of course, the government need to provide more incentive, both fiscal and non-fiscal. The third one is about the government need to design what is called affirmative policy. In this case, for example, renewable portfolio standard, or energy security fund, through, for example, geothermal facility fund. And the next one, what instrument or effort to optimize GPG development is, of course, the government is in their need, to establish what is called specific implementing solution for RE development. And the next one is about this social opposition, because when we talk about the geothermal project, social opposition is quite important. And sometimes, because of this thing, geothermal development target schedule is, delayed and delayed. And the last but not least, that the government has to honestly say that it need to review GBG development or RE mix target as a political face-saving strategy. Dear moderator, friends, and colleagues, finally I come to the conclusions. Before I do this, let me summarize my main point of presentation with the following thing. The first is, based on this as usual scenario, the installed capacity GBG under existing legal framework is far below the target of the national energy policy, and that power generation target in 2025 will be disrupted or will not be achieved. Effort instrument to optimize GBG development was raising governmental funding support for good preliminary survey and exploration drilling, more incentive, affirmative policy, the need for establishment of specific implementing institution, legal framework review, because now in the parliament there is a renewable energy bill, uh, uh, renewable energy bill, which is now in the discussion. And the last one, the government need to design good governance to manage the social opposition. I think that is all. Thank you very much for your attention. Before I return back to the moderator. Thank you. Good afternoon. Moderator.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Haryadi, for your critical review on the performance of geothermal power generation in Indonesia in the last 5 years. We are now going to the session of questions from our listeners or our audience. The first one is from Harry, PJBE, to Mr. Haryadi. What does it mean by social opposition management in GPG?
Okay. Thank you very much for the comment. What I mean by social opposition is social acceptance is quite difficult to achieve when we talk about the geothermal geothermal power plant project. As you see, there are some cases where this issue is quite difficult for developer as well as for government to manage. The last case that I knew is geothermal project in Baturaden, Central Java, which was initiated from 2012, and with the target of COD, commercially operating date, is on 2018 or 2022. But until now, the exploration drilling has not finished yet. One of the reason is social opposition. Of course, there is natural issue like the situation, the geographical situation is not conducive enough for development to drilling. I think this is what I mean by social opposition.
Okay. Next question is also from Mr. Harry from VJBE to Mr. Buanerges. The question is how to mitigate earthquake risk in terms of nuclear power plant development in Sumatra region, particularly in East region.
Okay, because before we build nuclear power plant, we usually make a study. So in their feasibility study, we make sure area is little possible to have earthquake. That's why, because right now Batan only study, so there not yet conduct real till nuclear power plant. Hello?
Yes, Pak.
Okay, Mr. Haredi.
Yes, Pak. It sounds.
Mr.
It seems that your sound is what do you call it? Putus-putus, Pak.
Yeah.
Itu.
Could you please once again explain the answers from the questions, Mr. Bonerges? We cannot hear your voice.
Sorry. To whom the question is addressed to, moderator?
Yes.
To whom the question is addressed to?
This this one from Harry to Bonerges. Yeah, about the mitigation of the earthquake.
The earthquake.
Because the last question for Mr. Bonerges, we could not hear the voice. How do you call it? We could not hear
the voice clearly.
The voice well. Yeah, we cannot hear well. It's not so clear, your voice, Mr. Bonerges. Could you once again explain?
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Bonerges.
Okay. Is it clear now, my voice?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we build, let me see the question first. Okay. How to mitigate earthquake risk? First of all, before we build a nuclear power plant, we will conduct a feasible study about the area. So, just to make sure it's safe with nuclear power plant in that area.
Okay, Pak. Noted, Pak. Thank you, Pak. Pak Bonerges. Thank you, Pak.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bonerges. Is there any questions from the listeners or the audience? You can directly ask the presenters by turning on your microphone. Okay, until we have other question, maybe I can ask one question for Mr. Heri Nico Siagian. It's about the comparison of floating and ground. You said about that the optimal ones is the floating, and also there's also for ground. I mean, for how long? For how many years this optimal choice will benefit us? I mean, in what year we will gain the economic value from our choice or our decision?
Okay, Pak. So you mean maybe the break-even point, ya, Pak?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So basically, this is a model in terms of a power purchase agreement between PLN and the independent power producer. So the terms of the agreement is 25 years, Pak. 25 years. So we have create the finance model for 25 years, and we find that the break-even point for this scenario is basically in year 13, Pak. Year 13, Pak, after the repayment period to the lender. Because in our case, we use the what do you call it, the tariff, the electricity tariff is quite competitive, Pak. 5.8179 cent dollar per kilowatt hour. So basically, this price is almost same with the conventional power plant, specifically with the steam power plant, Pak. So the break-even point is quite longer, but we believe that our future energy is the renewable energy, Pak. So this is the what do you call it, the we want to get an image, and we can get the first project for the floating PV power plant, Pak Hussein. Thank you, Pak.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Heri Nikos again. And maybe last question for Mr. Wahyudi. This is about the wood pellet. After the wood pellet produced, is there any research or investigation about how the wood pellet will be used for the biomass, for example, for electricity generation?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. At the moment, we are concerned to make stove generated by wood pellet for domestic use at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For example, for gasification or for other use to convert the pellet
Electricity?
to electricity or
Yeah.
other fuel.
Yeah, there is a demand on Japan and Korean now open for wood pellet for generating electricity, but this very require high standard of wood pellets. It could
Yeah.
not produce at the moment. So what we are doing here in Papua, actually we just use what we call residual waste from biomass and
Yeah.
convert it into wood pellet for domestic use at the moment. This.
Okay.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Wahyudi. Okay, I think there is no more question from our audience. Okay. Before we close our session, I have a message here that if we could make a photo session, I think. Yeah. Photo session for all us together. Maybe for all our member or our listeners, could you turn on your camera? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we can take a picture
Okay.
now. Please, all participants to open camera. Okay, 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, once again. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, co-host. Okay.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you for all the
Thank you,
presenters and
everyone.
all listeners. We are closing our session now. Have a good day for you all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening for you all.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.